On tonight's episode, Disney Plus. That's it. That's literally all we're going to talk about all night. I'm Garrett.
I'm Nelly.
And I'm Nate. Welcome to the Aliens and Cowboys podcast.
Welcome in tonight, guys. How's everybody doing?
Still doing good?
Awesome.
Got Nelly back. Nelly's been about probably like a month now.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Sorry to my fans that I've been gone for so long.
Did you
Welcome back to the indoors.
Yeah. So tell us about it. Did you get any bucks or does?
Technically, I did get a buck, but no big buck. A little Bambi buck. Doesn't count.
What do they do? They do it by points? How many points was it?
It was no points because his antlers weren't peeking yet. That's why it's called the button buck.
Embarrassing.
Yeah,
More than me.
All right, yeah.
I still got till January.
I got more points out and a rabbit out in the backyard. No, well, welcome back in. Joe, not with us, unfortunately, tonight. We were talking on our podcast Monday that we were planning to try to get together everybody back again one last time to do an episode on Disney Plus and talk about things like The Mandalorian and really just our experience with this new streaming service. That being said as well, Joe and I are going to continue to do the Watchmen for Nixon podcast every Monday. This Aliens and Cowboys podcast, for at least the next couple of weeks, is going to go every other week just because the Watchmen for Nixon is almost done. It's hard to podcast twice a week with everybody's schedule. Everybody's got kids, everybody but me. So it's hard for everybody else to schedule a podcast. So obviously we're here tonight. We're hoping to be back next Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm trying to maybe set something up with Nelly, that Nelly has not actually seen Star Wars before. And that's something we're going to go into more later in this episode. And I'm trying to get him to watch all 8 films before
some homework
next week, so we can actually talk through Star Wars.
Next week? Ooh.
You better start watching.
I better start.
Yeah. No, but like I said, Aliens and Cowboys will continue on a bi-weekly basis going forward for the next couple weeks, just until the Watchmen episode or Watchmen series on HBO is done. So, Nate, you're back. You have been, MIA a little bit too. You've been going through some moving process. How's that going?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Moving sucks. Hopefully you don't have to do it that often. It reminds me in college, though, where you used to move like every single year.
Yeah.
But you don't have nearly as many possessions as you do when you get older.
Or toys.
Or yeah, it's amazing how much stuff isn't mine anymore in my own home.
Well, tonight's episode, like I said, this will be the Disney Plus episode. So let's just talk about this. So Disney Plus came online last week, and I have a question for you guys. Have you used... Now, Nate, you don't have Disney Plus yet, correct?
Got it off the dark web. $3.
Nice.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I heard the story about people being hacked.
Oh, really? Already?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, day one,
long.
they said there are a few thousand accounts. They don't have an exact number that were hacked and being sold on the dark web from anywhere from like $3 to $11.
Nice. I like it. It's dedication.
Partners.
So, Nelly, you have Disney Plus. I've got Disney Plus. I know Joe has Disney Plus, and I've talked to Joe a little bit about it, so I can share his experience here. Nate, you don't have it yet, but you did watch Mandalorian tonight, so we'll talk about Mandalorian.
Yeah, but I got a friend that does.
That's right. So, Nelly, since you've got Disney Plus, have you used any other streaming service?
I have, actually. The first time yesterday, Amazon. Went back to Amazon just to start watching the one with Jason Krasinski.
John Krasinski. Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan, yep.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I've been on the Disney Plus, trying to get my son to watch all the originals that we used to watch back in the day.
So yeah, we'll go into detail on that here in a minute. I didn't know if I would use it as much right away since I've seen most of what's on there, movie-wise, especially for Marvel, Star Wars. We've seen most all of them. Did watch Mandalorian, but I will tell you right now, within the first week and a half, I only visited Netflix once, and that was to watch like 10 minutes of an Office episode when I was going to sleep. I only turned on HBO for this week's episode of The Watchmen. Other than that, I've been living in Disney Plus.
Did you drop any of your other streaming services?
Of course not.
Absolutely
not.
Found room in the budget.
That's right. I mean, it helps that it's $6. But
how does that work? I mean,
well, they'll put it up. They'll move it up.
Yeah, we'll be grandfathered in.
But if you think about it, though, the reason why it's $6, there's nothing new on it but the Mandalorian.
That's true.
Everything, and I want to speak to that in a little bit. That they should have not only should they have launched it with the Mandalorian, they should have launched it with one of their Marvel original shows too. I think that would have helped a lot because all the new stuff they have coming isn't really coming outside of like your Lady and the Tramp movie that's out now. But like the Marvel and Star Wars stuff doesn't come for like a year to 2 years from now. So like the Mandalorian's really good, and we'll talk about that. But there's kind of a gap that if you've seen all the Marvel movies, you know, what's there to watch them within that realm? So, but I was shocked. I actually went back. I myself watched a lot of the Marvel movies again. Watched some that I have never seen. Watched some. I'm a big fan of like the National Treasure movies with Nick Cage.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I really like those.
What are some of the Marvel movies that you didn't see?
So the one I haven't seen, the only one I haven't seen is I've never seen Captain America 1. And I went back and watched that, and
What did you think of that? Because I know you liked the second one.
Winter Soldier's good,
And the third one.
and Civil War is probably my favorite Marvel movie. I think that First Avenger was okay. It's generally considered to be a very bad, like in comparison to all the other movies.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fine. I guess I had problems with the villain Red Skull. I wish that he had been turned into Red Skull versus being Red Skull the entire time. So I didn't like that. I also thought it was kind of weird just seeing his CGI head on a really small body. You know, it's just really odd. But it was fine. It was whatever. Not as good. I've been watching the Thors as well. What's really cool though is if you go back and watch some of these, I forgot how much they try to like foreshadow things. So I think it's in Winter Soldier where they name drop Stephen Strange for the first time. You don't even think about it, but they do. Like it was just kind of a passing thing. They talk about people with special abilities and they start listing people's names. And Stephen Strange is somebody they list. And then they talk about they really talk a lot about in Winter Soldier and even the first Avengers movie. Phase 2. They keep dropping this. What is Phase 2? What is Phase 2? And in the story, they're referencing like Phase 2 with SHIELD technology. They're really trying to tell you that the Phase 2 is coming, but it's going to be your Doctor Stranges, your Black Panthers, and stuff like that. So it's really funny. But I really enjoyed that. But like I said, I've been actually living in some of the other parts of it. I've been watching Clone Wars, the cartoon. I've been doing the National Treasure movies again, which I really like. The Santa Claus. With Tim Allen. Yeah, I watched the second one. I haven't seen the third one, so I'm going to watch that probably tonight.
There's a lot of good ones on there.
Yeah.
A lot of good classics.
Well, not only that, but I was shocked at how much Disney owned.
Yeah, right?
Some of the movies they owned, yeah. So, but I did turn on Netflix. I went back to Netflix today because I'm trying to finish out The Punisher Season 2. But, which will be interesting what they'll do with that because they own those, Disney does. They're awfully bloody to be putting on Disney Plus.
Right.
The rumor is they're going to send them to Hulu since they own Hulu.
As it should, I think, just to keep the maturity in it, I guess.
Yeah, and they might revamp, like actually reboot them again.
So how does that work? Do they rent out the rights to Hulu?
They rented out the rights to Netflix. So, for instance, if you go on to Disney Plus right now, Black Panther's not there. Because Black Panther's technically licensed out to Netflix till like 2020, like summer 2020, I think.
Okay.
So like you can't get Black Panther right now on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So same thing with the
They're
Marvels.
honoring the previous agreements.
Correct.
And then they'll have that.
But once they lose it, they lose it.
Okay.
So, but no, I'm fascinated by this. So Nate's doesn't have Disney Plus, and his daughter's a little bit too young to probably really appreciate it. You told me that you've been making your son watch some stuff. So
I have.
What has he enjoyed that he likes, and then what are you making him watch?
I caught him watching Boy Meets World the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's he think about that?
He likes it because he's been watching episodes back to back, but he gets pretty entertained easily on shows. But I was glad to have him watch that because it was one of my favorites back in the day, Boy Meets World. And then the other day too, I told him you got to watch Blank Check.
Yes.
And Heavyweights. I think those are my top two. And I was scrolling through the whole list, and I watched Blank Check with him, and he really liked it.
Yeah.
He thought it was pretty funny, and teenager, whatever, $1 million.
Yeah, wants that money.
I was like, you want to see what a kid does with $1 million? I told him that's how I got him to watch it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, let's watch it, and he liked it, and then he watched Heavyweights the next day by himself. He thought that one was really funny.
Does he think it's funny as in like he understands the fat jokes, or like he thinks it's funny because it's just kids rebelling?
I think he thinks it's funny because I told him it's about fat kids at and he started laughing. So
that is a good movie.
It is great,
man.
Blank Check though. I haven't watched it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my wife about it because she was trying to get me to watch it the other day. It reminds me a lot of. I really enjoyed Richie Rich growing up.
Oh yeah.
And I just those ideas of just all of a sudden being a kid with unlimited amount of money.
Yep, exactly.
Doesn't he write a check to himself for $1 million?
No. So what happens is he gets his car, like somebody hits his bike.
It is. He gets a hit and run by a convict in the bank parking lot, and then he writes a check real quick because the cop showed up.
Signs it, but doesn't put the
left it
amount
blank.
in.
Yep.
And so
then
the kid fills it in with his computer. He
Yep.
has a Macintosh computer.
Yeah, Macintosh. Yeah.
Product placement.
Yeah, heavily
for $1 million though, right?
Right.
Okay. And doesn't he buy a huge mansion?
Yeah, like down the street too, I think, from his house. And yep.
Well, he fakes that he gets a job.
For Macintosh,
so he
alias
Macintosh.
Macintosh.
So he creates this identity of this guy named Macintosh based off of. He's a tech savvy kid.
Yep.
Where there's a dichotomy between him and his brothers who are like these physical athletes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's like this nerd. So he uses his computer technology to generate this identity, to generate this check, and he fakes everybody out to believe that he's working for this guy.
He's got the original Siri. Remember the lips on the computer?
Yes. Yeah. The original Siri.
I'm sure that is like very entertaining for kids even today.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I'm sure that $1 million does not carry over very well.
This is the 90s.
Inflation.
The economy was better.
$1 million went far.
Yeah. No.
Find yourself a .com.
I do remember it was great because I'm trying to think. I can't remember the actor's name. I don't know if he's alive anymore. I don't think he is. He was in The Burbs. One of the neighbors from The Burbs is his chauffeur.
Oh, okay. Henry?
Yes. And I don't remember the actor's name.
Yeah.
So that guy, he gets tricked too into thinking that this Macintosh is a real guy as well. So it's like his friend. But and I think doesn't he have a crush on like a
undercover banker?
Cop,
she worked
right?
at the bank and she was undercover. I think they were
Treasury
got a case
officer?
on the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's like an adult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like an Anakin Padme thing.
Yeah.
Star Wars nerds.
Well, wait till
She's pretty
episode
good
2
looking.
and then automatically they're the same age.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Nelly.
It's all right.
You'll know what I'm talking about.
Soon enough.
let's get into heavyweights here. So he watched it all. Did you ask him what he thought of heavyweights though?
Yeah, I was like, "What'd you think about it?" He's like, "Oh, I thought it was pretty funny." And then there was one part he said, because I didn't watch it with him. It's been a while, but he said like, "Oh, when he put his butt in his face." I kind of remember that. He started laughing. He's like, "Yeah, it's pretty dirty but funny." He said. So I was like, "Yeah, it's a good one."
Ben Stiller in that is just great. He's
Yeah.
just throwing 100 miles an hour in that movie.
Yeah.
What's he? Okay, so before Disney Plus, what was your son watching?
A lot of the Marvels on Netflix.
Okay,
And
so he was watching that stuff.
Yep,
Okay,
and I told him he says he's seen all of them, but I don't believe him. He lies a lot. So I told him we're gonna watch all of them since obviously me, I haven't seen much of them, so I'm glad that they're all on there. So it gives me a chance to.
most of them, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the good ones, anyways, the ones that we talk about here that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
usually, but
Well, that's what's fascinating. I love this idea that you're such an action movie fan that I've known for a long time, right? We love action movies. And I know that you're not necessarily a sci-fi guy to that extent.
never really.
But the idea that you've actually never seen Star Wars, I think, is fascinating. And I think it's interesting
a little late to the game.
that I'm forcing you to watch it because I'm really interested to see, does it hold up to somebody now, like that's not a Star Wars fan? So if you're watching it for the first time, does the original trilogy, because I think you're watching A New Hope right now, correct?
Yep, just
okay.
about almost done with it. Maybe
Yeah.
20 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to go on to, so you're basically
Next
doing
one.
episode 4, 5, and 6. Okay.
Gonna do the original trilogy, then
The prequel.
yep.
Got
and
it.
then the second. Yep.
So,
What are your first impressions? What do you think?
Well, at first, honestly, seeing
Like
the
with
year
no background of
1977,
knowing anything about it, right? So
nothing. I mean, to watching that old of a movie at first, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt. It's gonna be rough." 77, I think it is.
at least it's not black and white, though.
Yeah, true. And then the opening scene, I was like, "Oh, I don't know, this is gonna hurt." But then started going into it, and then realizing what the plot and the story is, it seems kind of cool. And I'm interested in seeing how, like I was telling Garrett earlier today, how the new ones will look on the special effects. How the
much
improvement
different
and stuff. So
I mean, like you'll be more. It's
yeah.
way better.
and there's still a very distinct difference between the 1, 2, and 3
Yes.
versus even the last 2 that
Yeah.
have been out.
Okay.
The force powers and how they're portrayed, like with CGI versus then and now. It's very, very different.
Which is the last one, or one that's a solo one? You said
So Rogue One is a solo movie.
Okay, that's the one. Okay.
Yeah, you can watch that last.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're gonna watch
I put them all on the watch list, so
Nice.
I got one down.
What's your opinion on Luke Skywalker?
He's kind of, I mean, the story is, I don't know, it's weird. Just the acting, it's
Not so much Mark Hamill's acting, because I don't think he's ever been a great actor. And you can at me on this. I don't.
He's an amazing voice actor.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, he's to be fair, his career has been built in voice acting more so than like starring in movies. He's not really.
Agreed.
He's not really to be fair, he's not particularly a good-looking guy. Definitely not now. Obviously, he's older. Like,
how old is he supposed to be in Luke?
Like 17, I
yeah,
think.
he's like a teenager.
So he's like a typical.
He's supposed to be playing like a 17-year-old kid.
like a farm boy, right?
Yeah,
Is
all
what
he wants
said?
to do is go to the
Like, what are they
Tashi
farming?
station, pick up some power converters.
What are they farming on the?
moisture. So it's like
It
water.
sounds so lame saying that out loud.
Because
Yeah,
when you
it's
said
like-
farming, I saw it was like so desolate. I was like, what are they
Yeah.
farming?
Yeah.
No, but
Water.
Luke, I mean, plays a good. I mean, kind of whiny at first. You know, he doesn't want to do it, but then he kind of all of a sudden picks up and he knows what he's doing because it's in his blood, supposedly.
Yeah.
So obviously, but
Yeah.
and then one thing I should put out, I don't really like is it COP or the
C-3PO.
Yeah, he's annoying. He's an
but-
asshole. R2D2.
But I'll tell you though, C-3PO is probably the least annoying though of all of the characters that, like, they bring in for that type of role.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm interested to see what you think of him versus like Jar Jar Binks.
I've heard things about him. He's
Right.
the big goofy, the big ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's kind of annoying too.
Okay.
But yeah, C-3PO, he's a classic. Do you have any takes on Han Solo? Harrison Ford playing this.
I like his character just because I like Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
fan of his, and he does a pretty good job. How he's so sarcastic and just doesn't
Yeah.
care. You know,
He's
just
the best part of the film. I think last time I watched A New Hope, I still really find it great when he walks in the screen on the first time, like when you see him like in the cantina, whatever it is, Mos Eisley. First time he shows up on screen, it's always like, damn, that's Harrison Ford. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
right.
Alex Guinness, who plays Obi-Wan Kenobi, is a big name actor in this movie as well. Like, he's a well-known actor at this time.
Okay.
But because Han Solo goes out to be, or Harrison Ford goes on to become Harrison Ford, you know, Indiana Jones, Han Solo, you know, he's by far the biggest name actor in this.
If I remember, he was like a casting director.
Yeah,
And he had to convince George Lucas to try out for the part
yes.
because he didn't want him.
Yeah.
Is that one of his first?
Yes.
It is his first, or one of his first?
I think his first movie might be American Graffiti, which is also a George Lucas film of
okay.
like a child, like a adolescent movie of people driving around in cars. Kind of reminds me of like what's that? Matthew McConaughey. You know what I'm talking about?
Lincoln Lawyer?
No, Dazed and Confused.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like he's like they're the same. I keep getting older and they stay the same
Yeah, I
age.
love high school girls.
Yeah, Nate. Anyways, they
Quote from the movie.
yeah, right.
Look it up.
Yeah, I think it's in your back of your binder. But yeah, it's just iconic.
Yeah.
So, and what's funny is you were talking about Jabba the Hutt, and you mentioned, because we talked about, you watched The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about The Mandalorian here in a little bit. You said originally that you saw Jabba the Hutt, you saw The Mandalorian in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So in the original version of 1977, that didn't exist. They added that section back into the first film.
In the late 90s?
When the re-release, like in 97.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the original filming wasn't that scene where they're talking by the Millennium Falcon, the ship, wasn't in the movie.
Where it shows what? Did you say who is that? The Mandalorian?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember you're like, you thought that that's the Mandalorian. I thought that's great. That's why I like this. I find this funny to see you watch it, because obviously some people like. I mean, Joe's not here, and Joe's a diehard Star Wars fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe knows like the lore, the legends, the backstories of almost everybody. It seems like he deep dives this stuff,
Yeah.
and so But you know, don't know Jabba the Hutt, like don't know Mandalorian.
I don't know who these characters were. I did see I don't know which one it was, where Princess Leia chokes Jabba the Hutt.
That's the Return of the Jedi.
Okay. That's the only one that I saw a long
You've
time
seen,
ago.
but you know who like Chewbacca is.
Yeah, I know
correct?
the characters. I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Who
So
they all
they're,
are.
that's because they're in pop culture in
Yep.
general.
Exactly.
Okay. So we'll obviously keep you moving forward. Also, Darth Vader.
Of course.
Yeah. So on the Darth Vader note, I will say this. So do you remember at the beginning of A New Hope when Darth Vader boards the Corellian ship with Leia on it,
Yeah.
and he brings all the stormtroopers with him. Mm-hmm. If you watch the standalone movie
Rogue One,
it brings a whole new context to how powerful Darth Vader is and how he enters that ship.
So Rogue One,
It's awesome.
Rogue One will literally butt up right from the ending of Rogue One goes straight into A New Hope. So when that ship is coming in to take the other ship at the very beginning, when the Star Destroyer is coming to take Leia's ship, that's where Rogue One ends with them chasing it. So
That's cool.
It's probably one of my top 5 Star Wars scenes all time. You just see that dark alley when the ship's board, and you just see his red lightsaber light up, and he destroys like 30 people instantly.
He just
it's
cuts
so
everybody.
cool.
I had a question too. So that head of or that table of guys, what is that like? The UN, quote unquote, or what?
So they're military generals.
Okay.
So at the head of the empire, or the empire as it's called. So and this is what's great. So this is what I really like. The original trilogy isn't so much about the politics of everything. Like the government's already established. It's more about those who are rebelling against the government. So those guys are like military generals. So Darth Vader is synonymous with that empire, but he's not even really the main guy in charge. Tarkin is, and Tarkin's the guy that kind of controls him a little bit. The overarching baddie, though, is the
one
Emperor.
that told him to quit choking.
Yes.
Okay.
Quit Wayne Bradying that guy.
Side note: what came to my mind when he was choking him was Gomer Pyle.
Yes.
Choke yourself.
But yeah, so Palpatine or Emperor Palpatine is the big baddie. Okay, he's like he's the guy that's the main villain of the show. What's great though is in the prequel trilogy, they show you how he comes to power. So he's like, it's like a government that actually exists in the universe of like almost democracy to some degree. That it's a republic, and he is a senator in the republic. And as you know, that he's the emperor in this original trilogy. Back in the prequel trilogy, he is a senator that is conniving to try to get to power. So it's really kind of a cool story.
So Darth Vader, he really is ahead of them, or is he like
he's pretty much third in command.
So what's the difference? Darth, I heard them call him Lord Vader. Does he go back and forth, or does it matter anything?
His name is Darth Vader. I think they call him. I think Lord's his title.
Okay.
Darth is a Sith thing,
Yes.
and then Lord. I don't know sure what the Lord is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Darth Maul, Darth Vader.
Yeah,
Darth
yeah,
is Darth Sidious, who is Emperor Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like their title. But his title would be Lord Vader. He could call him whatever he wants.
Whatever, yeah.
But yeah, do you think you'll enjoy this going forward? Like, do you see yourself becoming a Star Wars fan, or do you think you're just like, I'll watch the movie, but I could care less?
I could see myself becoming a fan.
Okay.
And it's not that I didn't want to watch it just because it looked dumb to me. I think because I hit the Steven Seagal stage. I was watching Steven Seagal movies, I guess, the Above the Law.
Yeah, like I said, I know you're an action guy.
Yeah.
And so, which is great because I do think that the prequel trilogy and even the sequel trilogy has more action. I think there's more fighting in the other movies than there are in the original
I like the
trilogy.
plot and like the story of it, the rebellion, and then like all the planets is kind of cool. The concept of going visiting planet, the light speed, just all that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool.
Then I think you really like the prequel trilogy because they do like planet hop a bunch more too.
Way more.
I look forward to that. One thing that throws me off, I guess, obviously, because it's so old, but they all suck at shooting. Like the one scene where
it's so bad,
where Luke and Leia were. He had a zip line to the other side, and they had the you remember what I'm talking about? And he was shooting the door. They're just going back and forth. They just couldn't hit anything.
Oh, dude, it gets worse. It doesn't get better in this original trilogy.
Yeah,
there are 10 million memes about how stormtroopers have never hit anything.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like there's like 6 of them.
Movie.
They can't hit nothing. It's like wow. And another thing, you'd think the lasers, because they leave a big explosion on the wall, but when they hit somebody, it's just like I know it's PG, but still, it's just. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just my action side speaking.
so let's kind of go forward then. So Star Wars brings out this next phase, and so the overarching thing is called the Skywalker saga. Okay, so you have the original trilogy is Luke Skywalker, the prequel trilogy is Anakin Skywalker. The last 3 movies are Rey. We don't know what she is. I'm assuming she's a Skywalker. I think it would be awfully stupid if she's not a Skywalker, considering I rewatched The Force Awakens, and I would find it odd that Luke Skywalker's lightsaber is calling to her if she's not one of them. You know what I mean? That like she's hearing things from like Luke and Anakin, and she ends up grabbing this lightsaber. But I need to tell you at the end, I got some problems with The Force Awakens. I rewatched it. There's some stupid parts of that, and I've generally defended that film.
Like Finn.
Well, no, not even Finn.
Oh,
What are the last three?
Yes, that's the episode 7.
So it's episode 7 is The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Episode 8 is
Last Jedi.
The Last
it's
Jedi.
the first movie of the new trilogy.
Yeah.
But it's extremely similar to what you're watching in A New Hope. Like the story is like identical. Okay, so you'll see that. But let's talk Mandalorian. So we've all three seen The Mandalorian.
As of tonight.
I bet fans at home, fans or listeners, whatever they are, Nellie's fans, are like, Jesus Christ, just get to something better than talking about A New Hope. So whatever.
Living in the past.
Yeah. You guys are lucky. This is a conversation we'd have without you.
We caught Nellie in a vacuum.
We're letting you in on this conversation. This is great. This is a guy who's never seen Star Wars before. Okay, so Nate, you watched The Mandalorian.
Yep, about 10 minutes ago.
15 minutes ago, right? We finished up. Give me your thoughts on it.
I really enjoyed what they did here. There's not a whole lot of new things, which make sound bad, but it's really, really good. There's a ton of tiebacks to all the original stuff that are so subtle that it just brings you into a galaxy far, far away. But like that plug. But it still feels on its own very, very different because you're following a single character who hardly has any dialogue throughout the entire thing. It's very action based and very, very slow moving. Actually, I don't know if I'd say slow moving. There's just not a whole lot of communication. There's just a lot of intense action, and then there's nothing until you lead up to the next action scene.
Okay.
That's a positive review. I don't know if it came off that way.
No, that's okay. I mean, this is definitely a Western, right? This is definitely a ancient samurai Western cowboy show that exists in space. I was going to ask this. I wish Joe was here for this because we've talked about this a couple times off microphone. Do you think there's a problem with the fact that we don't know his name and we haven't seen his face? Considering we all know who Pedro Pascal is. Like, do you think he needs to take his helmet off at some point?
Because didn't somebody mention like they don't take their helmets off? I think
they don't. So right.
I mean, were they Mandalorians in the series that I'm going to watch? He appears obviously. Boba Fett is,
right. Confused. But he never takes his helmet off.
So Boba Fett is Mandalorian his name or Mandalorian?
So Mandalorian is their type of Mandalore is a planet.
Okay.
And Mandalorian is a type of person.
Okay.
That's like their class of people.
And they're all bounty hunters or no? Or is that?
They're just
warriors.
warriors.
They're just a warrior race.
And I think they generally lend themselves to being bounty hunters, but they're a warrior class.
Okay.
There's a thing called the Mandalorian Wars back in old.
Well, it's not real anymore.
Yeah, that's never mind.
So all of the books that were ever written, for the most part, at least 99% of all the books that were written, all the stories of Star Wars, when Disney bought Star Wars, they canceled all of it. So
except they can still use any storyline that was previous to this. So they can blend and borrow the best pieces of all of it.
It's not considered canon. Okay. And so if they like a story, they can pull a story in. And then now all of a sudden they can, like if they,
just branched out, just pretty much.
Right. So if Boba Fett is alive or dead is a question mark going forward in the new trilogy. We haven't seen him. We don't know. I think we've seen him in Mandalorian, and I'll make that argument.
Go ahead.
So there's a scene in Mandalorian in the first episode when Mando is walking into his guild, not so much the guild, the bounty hunter guild, but almost like his little guild of Mandalorians, like this little offshoot apartment complex where they live. And he's walking in, and the first guy you see him walk by is just another Mandalorian dressed just like him. Second after that, though, they show a shot where a guy looks back. Like they show a guy turning to look at the Mandalorian, and he's got the red T visor going down his face. It's just like Boba Fett's markings. Because we don't know if Boba Fett is alive, I think this is Disney's way to bring Boba Fett into the story later. Not necessarily season 1. Could be season 2. But to acknowledge that he has been here the whole time. Because there's no other reason to really not freeze frame it, because they don't freeze frame it on him. But they make it enough that this guy glances back to look at him, and he looks exactly marking like Boba Fett.
Enough to notice it, huh?
Yeah, so I made Nate rewatch it twice.
I don't know that I entirely agree with you, but from the standpoint of he's such a fan favorite, why would you ever kill off that character? So I do think he's alive in some capacity. I just don't know if that was truly him or not.
Joe's on the same page you are. Joe does not believe that was Boba Fett. Joe and I never agree on anything, so that would make sense. But he did not believe that was Boba Fett. I do think it is.
Did he give a reason why?
He
always has very elaborate reasons.
He did. It wasn't so. There's the red T visor and there's the red arm, like forearm, right?
Yeah.
But what he's missing is the signet on his shoulder. The marking on the shoulder isn't there.
There it is.
So yes, Joe does not believe it actually is him. I just find it very Easter eggish that they would drop this red visored guy, though.
Joe strikes me as the type as one of those people who reviews movies frame by frame.
Most of the time he watches.
He is
a movie,
that detail oriented.
He is, but most of the time he watches a movie, he actually watches it on a cell phone, which would drive me nuts to have that small of a screen.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's going screen by screen on his cell phone.
Does he have surround sound on that?
He hooks it up to
an easier on the cell phone because you can just scroll to your scene, slowly scroll through.
I know. It'd be funny if he.
It's hard to go frame to frame with your pinky trying to drag that.
Hooks up to an elaborate speaker system with a woofer,
Bluetooth.
Yeah. So I don't know. Obviously this movie or this television show very much like a movie. Okay. And
I was surprised at how high quality the CGI was.
If it wasn't for different directors directing different episodes, I would think it's one movie that they're cutting at certain spots, and that would also lend credibility to why we have different times, like lengths of episodes.
I really like that.
It works
from playing the story out like that.
It works if you want, but if you want more.
Yeah, I kind of want more. I didn't even pay attention that the second episode was only 28 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was over. I was like, what? I pushed pause and it's like, what? 28 minutes?
Yeah.
But whatever, I'll still watch it.
Let's talk about the IG-11.
Super cool. I remember reading about an IG-88.
Correct.
Back in the day.
Yep.
But the way they portrayed him in this show was what you think a droid would do. It was just super precise.
Yes.
Had eyes around his entire head.
Yeah.
And could just shoot at everybody.
So they used those.
Go ahead.
The
bounty droid?
Right. They used bounty hunter droids. So in the Clone Wars cartoon series that's on Disney Plus as well, which I'm currently watching, they use bounty droids in that.
What'd you say it was called?
So the Clone Wars?
No, the G11.
Oh, so his name was IG-11.
IG-11.
But he's based off of, in the original story, there was a bounty droid named IG-88, which is the famous one. That's like kind of the stand-in. So they also have these other characters that are called Trandoshans. The most famous one was named Bosk. He is a stand-in for those things that attacked the Mandalorian in the beginning of episode 2.
They're reptilian-looking, scaly.
You do see Bosk though in Empire Strikes Back, so he is canon. When they have all those bounty hunters on the ship, and they're trying to get them to put a bounty out, which you'll see in your next film on Han Solo, you'll see a couple of these bounty hunters.
So what were those things that were guarding?
They're just people. Alien people. We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know their race. I'm sure Joe does, but I don't.
Gotcha.
But I think that the first episode brought in a lot of interesting stuff. I liked the nuances in this show. We know that this is 5 years past the Return of the Jedi, so the Empire is no longer existing. Or at least the remnants of the Empire exist, because we know we will get the First Order at some point based off these guys.
Right. We also meet the person who employs Mando.
Yes, and I like that the stormtroopers have dirty armor. It's not the white, clean, crisp armor that you see in all the other movies. They're very much like, obviously they're not upkeeping it. Now, there is a theory on the website, or like on Reddit, that the doctor that comes in, why he's being hired, has a patch on his shoulder. I could not verify this myself. I couldn't tell that it's a Camino patch from Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
So what Nelly does not know is that all of these stormtroopers are essentially clones, which you don't get until you get to the prequel trilogy. Because you're going to basically, how did they raise such a big army? Well, they're not real people.
Yeah.
So, and that's also
they end up cloning one of the most famous bounty hunters of all time. And they accelerate their aging process to become adults almost instantly. And then they build this enormous army.
So Boba Fett, who you'll know, his father is the guy who's the basis for all the clones. So in theory, if all the stormtroopers took their helmets off, they're all going to look the same.
Right.
At least in the original trilogy. Maybe not in the...
Which is confusing, because then you get to the latest trilogy...
Yeah, and they're different people.
And they take volunteers.
Finn is not the same as as Boba Fett's.
Yeah,
Finn does not look like his dad.
Another question: what's the deal with that? The Beskar steel? Is that some?
So this I had a problem with, and Joe had it like tell me about. So, and I had problems with this.
How, like he had it forged to his shoulder plate,
right.
like some symbolic or
yeah. When he does that flashback, they met, or the Herzog, I think is the actor's name, the old guy that hires him from the Imperial officer, right? The Empire guy. He talks about how there was a great purge. The belief is that they were obviously invaded, Mandalore was, and they basically massacred people, and they took the resource out of the ground. Okay, basically pulled an avatar on them. Okay, so they need that steel is what essentially creates their outfits, their armor outfits, okay. And it's supposed to be strong enough to deflect laser blasts, and it's supposed to be strong enough to deflect a lightsaber, which I have problems with because in this particular episode, he only seems to get shot in his Beskar steel arm plate. Like the IG-11 robot shoots everybody to kills them, only happens to shoot the dude in his arm, in his shoulder. So
it makes sense why he takes a beating from that big rhino.
Yeah, of course. but
it's like the lightsaber armor thing is like that immovable object versus an unstoppable force argument.
You have to make them be able to be competitive. But it doesn't really work because Jango Fett's entire outfit was Beskar, it looked like, from what it looks like, and he gets his head cut off.
Well, he missed the neck.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You can't put plating armor on your neck, otherwise you can't move it.
Right.
That's just physics.
So I'm assuming every episode, except the second episode, he did not, that he was going to be putting a new piece together. Until the very end, he's like completely decked out in this outfit.
So I like that. It's cool. It's like a badge of honor.
It's like a side quest.
Yeah, it's like a side quest in every RPG you've ever played. I liked your comment, though, where it is kind of like a badge of honor, where like this, like he's like a predator.
Right. I got a very much like Predator feel out of him. Like when he grabs that guy from the very first part of the episode and he puts him in the freezer, like the, what do they call that? The Carbonite freeze. And he walks away. The way he turns his back and walks away, it just reminded me of Predator from the Predator movies. Very much like that feel.
So now, was he supposed to take out the Yoda's species, the little bear?
No, well, remember, he's
dead or alive, right?
He's hired to bring the dead or alive. The robot was hired to kill it.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. Was anybody besides me shocked that Baby Yoda shows up?
Is it?
Yes.
We don't know the species of Yoda.
But is it Yoda?
We don't know
if it's a Yoda.
I don't think it's Yoda. I don't think it's Yoda.
No, it's not Yoda.
Yeah, I can't
and
really.
He's what, 50 years old?
He's 50 years old, but they live to be
slow.
They live to be hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
They said. I think Yoda was nearly 1,000 years old.
Could be.
I remember. I think one of the movies they said that.
Yeah. But
I wish Joe was here.
Yeah,
he would know.
But you had mentioned to me, Gary, that we've seen 3 on screen.
Yes.
So
Yoda, Yaddle, and whatever this thing is.
Yaddle was his name?
Yaddle is a Grandmaster Jedi.
Of course he was.
Yes.
But apparently all of them are Force sensitive?
Correct. So far as we know, they're 3 for 3. But so are the Skywalkers.
They're all what?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
They're
Force sensitive. They all can control the Force. They're like Jedi.
I got you.
Or Sith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the irony is they're...
Well, kind of the point of the midichlorian thing is that anyone can become a Jedi, except the whole lineage of Skywalkers are Force sensitive, and apparently all of that particular Yoda species is also Force sensitive.
Well, it's funny because they've talked multiple times about how they're trying to get away from the Skywalker saga, but they can't because everything is existing within the Skywalker saga. So even though this is not part of the Skywalker saga, it exists within the time frame of the Skywalker saga, and we're introducing characters that are similar stand-ins. Like Boba Fett, you can't really have a show about Boba Fett, even though they wanted to, because he's not a good guy. He would have shot Yoda. Okay? Like his character, true to his character, would have probably killed that Yoda baby. Okay? You can't have that, especially for Disney Plus.
Yeah, let's keep calling him Yoda baby.
Yeah, that's until we figure out what his name is.
Yeah, right.
I like how he's 50 though.
Yeah.
He's like AARP member, but he's baby. But so what they do is they take another Mandalorian, which is a stand-in, and I know that Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian, so you can save that at home. But they take a character that is a Mandalorian that is the same image of Boba Fett. We're going to do a show on him now. They don't want IG-88, so they bring in IG-11. We don't want Boss to Trandoshan, so we bring in these other Trandoshans. Does that make sense? Like, we're doing things based on stuff. We don't want it to be the Skywalker saga, but all these characters that we know and love from the Skywalker saga, we're just going to bring them into this new story, and they're not going to be part of that saga. However, it's existing during the saga because it takes place between episode 6 and episode 7. We have a potential for a baby Yoda. He's obviously a Force user, so who knows? And I'm curious on where that will go. Like,
do you think he shows up in episode
9? No.
9.
That's the thing. I have a problem with some of these Star Wars things, and I've been yelling at Joe about this for a while. As I watched the Clone Wars cartoon, they introduce... So, the Clone Wars cartoon, if you haven't seen it, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have Anakin Skywalker, right? Because it takes place between episode 2 and episode 3. They introduce a female Padawan for Anakin. Her name's Ahsoka. She's a very big character for the series.
She's a Twi'lek too, right?
No, but she's some species. Okay. But she's like the main character, or one of the, she's a main character. Well, she doesn't exist in the movies. So I know that she's also exists in the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels television series too, and that takes place after episode 3, before episode 4. I'm not sure. I've not seen it all. I don't know if she dies, if they kill her off, or what happens to her. But this important character does not exist in the movies. So if all of a sudden you're going to retcon it and tell me that she survives and lives, but she sat out for the rebellion, I got problems with that. Same thing with this Yoda. But Yoda trained Luke. He existed. You know what I mean? If this Yoda baby turns out to be Yoda himself, I don't like that. And then where did he go for episodes 8
That
and 9?
can't happen.
Right. I know it can't.
So,
but,
it's another one of his species.
But how do we know it can't happen?
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I mean, we don't know what they can make up. But it'll be fascinating. Let's talk episode 2. Which episode did you like better, 1 or 2?
I liked 1 better.
Yeah, 1. Just because the intro just seems like it'll be a good show.
Yeah, and it's weird because they're releasing this on Fridays. It's kind of a weird drop day.
So they came out with 2 on opening day? Is that what happened?
Excuse me. They came out with 1 for the night that they launched, and they came out with 1 the following Friday.
Also,
so
2
in the
week?
same week.
Okay, gotcha. Because they came out exactly a week from today, right?
Yeah, and I think it's
On
only
Tuesday?
8 episodes.
I actually like that going back to the weekly release date stuff.
Yeah, it makes it better to talk about it. Because had this already dropped, all 8 episodes, we'd have already watched it. We'd have talked about it once and been done with it.
Yeah.
We would have Stranger Things it. You watch it one weekend, and then you move on.
Maybe it's a gamble, too, on the release of that. Because, what am I thinking of? Game of Thrones was obviously released weekly, right? But what am I thinking of that dropped and it just bombed, just completely bombed on Netflix, and like nobody watched it because everyone reported how horrible the entire show was.
Is it recent or?
Yeah, a few months ago maybe. It was a big one too. And anyway, I think it's a gamble to do that because it's very hit or miss depending on whether people like that episode. Like if it's a setup episode for future, you're going to lose a lot of audience where it's just, this is a boring episode. I don't think I'm going to watch the next one.
Yeah, true.
But if you drop the whole thing, maybe there's more
give it a
likelihood of
chance. You
viewership.
this episode wasn't as good. I'll watch the second, third, and then have to pick up for them there. But
well, here's a question for you though. So once this is done, once the Mandalorian is done, like Nelly, you have a lot you can watch on here, right? You're not caught up on Marvel movies. You're not caught up on Star Wars movies.
I'll
Like
be
if you
busy.
want to, you could live in Disney Plus for a while.
Yeah.
But you've seen everything. So like once the Mandalorian's done, what would pull you to Disney Plus versus your other streaming service?
You and I actually talked about this. X-Men, right?
Yes, the cartoon.
Yeah, feeling nostalgic.
I watched
the
that
X-Men
too.
cartoons, and we were talking about, at least I was talking about, how good Spider-Man was.
Yep.
I think that was very underrated. That whole series was very entertaining.
How about this hot take? I was talking to Joe about this the other day. Nelly, you're just going to go way over your head, so I apologize.
That's fine.
There used to be, in the Star Wars canon, the Young Jedi Knight series. So the story is, after Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker starts a Jedi Academy, and he starts teaching young Jedis, specifically Jason, I think, and Jaina, or whatever it is, Han Solo's twin children. Well, what they did is they got rid of that story because they don't have twins, as far as we know. right? And I don't understand why I don't like that they did that, because I think, and again, big Harry Potter fan that I am, I think there's something for kids, and whether you make it a cartoon or not, because I know the Clone Wars for Star Wars is popular. I think the Rebels is popular. You could have done this as a cartoon for kids, like a CGI cartoon. You could have made that a cartoon story for children, show them going to the training, show them getting in trouble, like as a way to bring in kids to these stories. You could have also done one with the X-Men. You could have a story where the X-Men Academy that Professor Xavier runs exists, and these kids are coming in, and they relaunch the X-Men cartoon. Why wouldn't they relaunch the X-Men cartoon? It was extremely popular. It will pull everybody in. It allows them to not do a movie of X-Men for a while.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a great thing.
Before they reboot.
Right. Which, have you noticed they didn't put that on Disney Plus? The X-Men movies?
They didn't put any of them on there?
No. They don't.
Why not? Even if they have the rights.
Well, I think it's just they
they're
don't
kind of
the rating probably PG-13.
Could be. I mean, I think the Mandalorian
that
itself
could be
is. I think the Mandalorian itself is only rated like PG.
I think it is PG.
Yeah. So, and that's probably
There's
what
no
it
cursing.
is. But I mean, but you watch like
violence.
Endgame. Endgame's pretty violent.
Yeah, so I watched the first hour last night. They amputate Thanos' arm and then decapitate him.
Yeah.
And they try to do it subtly, but
There's a,
it's
it's
hard to
funny.
do.
We talk about this on the other podcast, The Watchmen for Nixon. So in the Watchmen television show on HBO, the people who are like what they call the 7th Cavalry, the white supremacist group, one of the things that would make them angry is when they show this American hero story is like this meta story that takes place in the show, right? So it's like people watching a story about like a former superhero. Okay. But before the superhero show comes on every time, it does this big disclaimer where it's like, this may contain trigger warnings for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all these things, right? That's what Disney's doing. So if you go and anytime you click into any type of a movie or television show, it'll tell you there's a disclaimer at the top. More so specifically for like if you strobe lights and stuff like that, like if you're going to have a seizure.
Well, yeah.
But some of the older cartoons, though, now come out with another disclaimer that says, like, this is not, this was basically the original format. This does not fit our narrative. We don't agree with the politics or the racist, essentially the racism of the show.
That's such a cop-out. But we're willing to put the content on here for you to watch it in case you want to.
Like, it's like, excuse me, we used
and
to
make money off of it.
We used to be racist, tee. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, but like,
we used to not be PC, now we are.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that they take
You're
that route.
kidding me. They actually put like bullet points of what might trigger you based on what's
No,
in
they
that
don't do
episode?
that, but they do say that like
a boilerplate statement.
Yeah, that like this might not. I haven't watched any of the specific cartoons that do it yet, like the Steamboat Willie stuff. I think they will in the movie Tom and Huck. Do you remember that with Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Yeah.
Have Tavio watch that because I remember as a kid I thought that was a great one.
That'll be a good one.
But I bet you they have it on that because the villain in that show is, I'm not going to say his name here, not PC.
Speaking of the ratings, I remember now on the Star Wars, the original Star Wars, at the very beginning, at top left says usage of tobacco or something on
that. Yes. Like little things like that. It's very funny. It made Joe and I laugh about The Watchmen because like that was something in The Watchmen they're talking about, like how we get to the point where we have to disclaim everything that might offend everybody or hurt everybody's feelings.
When are they going to start to censor all the cartoons where people are smoking in them? From back in the day too. Even when we were growing up as kids, people just smoking cartoons all the time.
Yeah. Well, they did that with what was that show? It was Stranger Things. Netflix just did it. So in the first season, our first couple seasons of Stranger Things, that
David Harbour,
he's smoking like in every scene.
Oh yeah, he's drinking in his underwear, and
so it's
the sheriff, right?
Billy, I think Billy, the kid that like shows up in the second season with like the long perm, he smokes all the time too, and I think they cut all that crap out in the third one. Don't get offended, Nate. It's all right.
I'm offended that other people are offended
so easily.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Disclaimer on
this is going to go off tangent real quick too, but I was talking to Joe about this, and I wish he was here because I told him I would bring this up and that I would want Nate's take on it. So, Elizabeth, you know who Elizabeth Banks is?
I know where you're going with this. I probably already read about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I know
so
she
Elizabeth
is.
Banks, the actress,
the Hunger Games, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Shouldn't you say director?
Director Elizabeth Banks, producer, writer, actress. She had some hot takes this week. So she has done the reboot for the new Charlie's Angels movie.
She tried.
Okay.
Oh man, he's already going at it. So, unbeknownst to me, I didn't even realize this dropped. I didn't know the movie was out
with
yet.
Kristen Stewart.
Yes, I've seen like a couple previews for it. I saw a movie poster for it at the theater, but I didn't know it was even out yet. It already bombed.
Yeah.
And she blamed men for it. She said that it was, she said it was absolutely sexism and that men are too stupid to allow for this type of a reboot, and that we've had 37 Spider-Man movies, but why can't we reboot this? And she put this at the doorstep that men were the problem.
Yeah.
I want your take on this, Nate.
I was watching, I think that's hilarious. I was watching another gentleman review that same comment too, and he said, okay, that's fine, but also just, and he took perfect examples from like Twitter about no one asked for a Charlie's Angels reboot. The show originally in the 70s was okay. The 90s one had big name actresses in it.
That is a big difference. The 90s ones had Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, and Drew Barrymore with Bill Murray.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, it had big name people in it. And then Demi Moore was the villain in one of them. Like, way bigger names. And don't get me wrong, I am a Kristen Stewart fan. Like, I like her. I know Nate loves...
She's not a headliner to bring you to a movie, though.
Correct.
I was willing to watch it, but not now.
Yeah, right, Nelly.
You're part of the problem. Well, no, but how about the argument? The argument was that men don't want to go see women in action movies. And I'm like, I don't buy that because, and she does try to rebut it. So, because a lot of people brought up the argument that Wonder Woman made $1 billion. Okay.
Yep.
And that Captain Marvel made like $500 million.
Red Sparrow.
Salt. Salt was good. Salt made over $100 million. I really like Salt. I really like Atomic Blonde. Mm-hmm. Like, there are action films for women to have.
Flux, is that another one?
Yep.
Who was that?
I don't think that was.
That's a guilty pleasure. I like that.
Yeah, I don't think that one did well though. But what she's saying though is, she was saying that men won't go see women action films, and there were men that were saying, "No, that's wrong. We will." Her rebuttal
if they're good,
they just have to be good. Yeah.
Her rebuttal to that though is these are films like your Wonder Womans and your Captain Marvels that exist though in male-dominated genres. But hold on, like Endgame though. At the end of Endgame, there's an entire scene where all of the females of the entire Marvel universe come together and just like smoke everybody.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, people love the Wakanda characters. People love the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. Like, yeah, they're male-dominated stories, but like the female characters are pretty BA.
Well, Ant-Man and the Wasp is obviously more powerful than Ant-Man.
Yes. I mean, Red Scarlet or Scarlet Witch is arguably the most powerful person in the series.
Yep.
And then Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I know that's off tangent because it's Elizabeth Banks, and I know that I generally really liked her, but I thought that was crap. That
had to come from an emotional response.
Sure, it's her film.
Horribly that bombed.
Yeah,
she's just salty. It sucked.
Well, I would watch it if it came out to HBO. I'm clearly not going to go pay for it now. I don't even know if it's in theaters anymore. Like, all of a sudden, it might be out of theaters.
I'm sure it's tolerable.
I'm sure
it's not something that you would like go out of your way to spend money for, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
If it's on a streaming service, I'll watch it.
I mean, I'm the first one to say like Terminator sucked, right? Like,
again, that's a perfect example too, right?
I'm not saying that you can't reboot with women or anything like that. That's fine. Like, there's a thing that exists for that. But this particular film, and I think here's the thing. I do believe there's a place for Charlie's Angels. I do. The other ones, though, outside of the first Charlie's Angels, were not necessarily successful, though, including the ones with, like, Charlie's Angels 2, Full Throttle, with the same actresses. Mm-hmm. It was a little campy, over the top. It's not John Wick. Does that make sense? Like, I'll tell you right now, that movie Ballerina that's coming out, that's going to be the female version of John Wick, people are going to go see that movie.
Yeah.
That movie's not going to bomb. That's going to be a successful hit. Atomic Blonde, if they do a sequel,
hold us accountable, I guess, for that statement. No, ballerinas?
Do it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's supposed to be in the same John Wick universe. It's supposed to be a woman. Why would that not do well as long as they're doing the film? If it's basically a female version of John Wick, we should go see it. If we don't go see it, she may have an argument here.
Yeah. I think another thing maybe to say about the Charlie's Angels stuff is it's another reboot in Hollywood. It's another story that's already been told 3 times, which I understand Spider-Man has too, but it's one of the most popular characters of all time, comic books wise.
But here's the thing: Spider-Man has also bombed. Like, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's sucked. Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, not good either. Like, I was on the record as saying this last one, Far From Home, was definitely not as good as the Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming was way better than the second Spider-Man. So they're not beyond reproach. X-Men has been rebooted. X-Men's had its problems. Like, Rebooting movies can be an issue, and I think that she needs to know that. And again, I do think that's. I also don't think it was marketed that well. I mean, like I said, I don't.
You didn't even know it was out.
I don't even know it was out.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, I started seeing these interviews she was giving, blaming men for this movie. And don't get me wrong, I will agree that there are definitely men that would rather see an action film with men than an action film with women.
Yeah.
There is an argument to be made for that. This particular film, though, is probably not the hill to die on about it.
Do you know where I found out that movie was actually coming out?
I can't wait for this.
It's Hot Ones on YouTube where they interview Kristen Stewart.
Okay.
She eats the 10 hot wings.
Yeah.
That's how I knew this movie was coming out. That was the only reason I knew that movie was coming out.
They're just not previews. There weren't previews for it on TV.
Yeah, I wonder what the market was. Like the marketing budget was for that movie.
I'm not sure.
I can't imagine it was all that high.
I saw it in a preview in theater. I just don't remember what movie it was.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a preview for it as well.
But as on TV, I haven't seen anything on it.
So the other thing I was going to say is when your reviews from just your Joe Schmo and your reviews from critics are the same, that it's not a good movie, you can't say that it's men from Hollywood who just don't go see action movies.
So I'm not actually a huge fan of Rotten Tomatoes, and I've argued with Joe about this because they list Fury Road as the greatest action film of all time. And I just can't handle that.
Have you ever taken a film class, Garrett?
I did with Nellie one time in college, and Nellie fell asleep all the time.
DMAC. Because I thought it was going to be cool movies, but it was all starting from
it was good movies. It was good movies.
Well, Pulp
What do they
Fiction was
teach
probably
you
the
in
only
there?
good one
Because
that you...
I've never taken a class.
So this movie has a tomato meter, actually, of 59%. So not good. It has an audience score, though, of 81%. So I don't know who's seen it that really likes it, from what I can tell.
I will usually go with the audience score more so than the critic score for anything in like the Rotten Tomatoes.
Let's see here.
There's a lot of things that you find entertaining, but like it wouldn't be like critically acclaimed.
Here's a rating: 1 out of 5. If we've got to have mediocre studio blockbusters, might as well bring a little diversity to the roster of people making them. But we'd all much be better off if feminism just got a new talent agent and started taking more worthy jobs. That's yikes. Here's the thing, though. I think
was that a male or a female writer?
I have no idea. That's full reviews available.
Please be a female writer.
That's Charles Bramesco. Charles.
Charlie. Charlie.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Making us look bad.
Yes.
But is he wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. It is what it is. I think it goes back to
there are other.
I'm the first one, though, that was extremely disappointed with Terminator. I was such a good fan of this franchise. I'm kind of to the point where, because of what James Cameron, and thinking James Cameron would fix it, I'm glad it bombed to the point where they're probably not going to make another one now because he can't even save it himself. But the budget for Charlie's Angels was $55 million, and it's only brought in $28 million.
Ouch.
Yes, so that's not good. But I think it also
maybe they'll sell little female figurines to little kids and
Happy Meals.
And Happy Meals.
No, yeah. But I mean, why can't we have original stories? But it is a problem because even Star Wars is having problems with this. We said that they are trying to make these things go outside of to kind of bring this back to Star Wars. They're trying to make these stories go outside of the Skywalker saga, correct? But they really can't because everything's existing within the Skywalker saga that we know of. Unless they go really far unless we go really far into the future or really back into the past where the Benioff and Weiss trilogy was supposed to originally be about the start of the Jedi, like the Knights of the Old Republic type stuff. So unless we go way far back or really far forward, we're going to be existing within the realm of what we know, and then we're pulling from ideas. Like I said, this Mandalorian is only popular because everybody loved Boba Fett. If Boba Fett wasn't popular, if we didn't care about him, we probably don't have this television show today.
Agreed.
So, I mean, that's just kind of the thing. We're pulling from all these different components of stuff that already exists. It's not necessarily an original story.
When does he make an appearance or big appearance?
The first one, but Empire Strikes Back is his big film. Boba Fett. It's your second one. Your next movie.
Next one? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you'll like him as an antagonist. He's really cool.
Just bounty hunter. He's trying to track down Han Solo.
Villain.
Yeah. What else about Disney Plus? When are you going to get it?
As soon as things settle down back at home.
I can't believe.
I'd say
I can't
wait
believe
for Christmas. Maybe we'll get it for Christmas.
I can't believe your
treat yourself
wife doesn't have it yet. I thought she would have been the first one to line up for this.
We had to pack up so many VHSs which are ridiculous.
They're all on there now.
Oh my god, you can't even see what's on like the cardboard covers of these VHSs because they're so faded right now.
Classics.
Yeah, they sit in my storage and I got to move them 17 times.
It's like college books. I've got boxes of books in my closet in the basement, and it's just like I don't read them, but like I can't get rid of them though. You know what I mean?
You paid $150 a book
per book. Yeah. What are you most excited for coming on Disney Plus? Is there anything, Nelly, that you're excited that's coming?
What's the lineup for originals that they have coming out?
So they've got a lot of Marvel coming out. So they've got the WandaVision show, which is going to be the Vision and Scarlet Witch, which I'm actually really excited for because it's kind of in the frame of like a 1950s like comedy show, like a I Love Lucy
sitcom, yeah.
Yes, but the artwork for it shows a lot of like shadows of like dark figures. So I think that, from my understanding, what I've read, Vision is going to create like children, like he's going to create them, and they're going to try to live a family life. So I'm actually really fascinated for this one. I'm kind of excited. It's gonna be way different than anything else they've done, because they have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming, and that's just gonna be a Captain America Winter Soldier stand-in show. Mm-hmm. So that's fine. That's gonna be what we already know. They have
I've had a hard time thinking that WandaVision is going to be successful.
Oh, I think
I just can't wrap my head around that concept.
I'm more excited for WandaVision than I am for anything else coming from Marvel.
No joke.
Yeah, I just think I like Vision's character. I like Paul Bettany, so I'm kind of excited where they take it. Again, if I want to watch I'm not necessarily a huge Falcon fan too, so that's why I'm not a big Anthony Mackie guy. So I'm not excited for this. I'm not excited for Altered Carbon season 2 either because he stars in that. But I'm not necessarily excited for the B Team Avengers. Like we had the A Team Avengers for 22 films, and they're going away. I'm not necessarily excited for what's coming next. So I think WandaVision being something separate. If I wanted to watch Captain America and Winter Soldier, I'll just go back and watch the movie Winter Soldier and be done with it in 2 hours. I don't have to spend 3 seasons on it. Star Wars, though, is going to be interesting. So Star Wars has the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming.
Yep, Ewan McGregor.
Yep, as well as they're going to have a Cassian Andor series coming, the dude from Rogue One, the standalone film.
Okay. Who's that dude?
Diego Luna. He's the assassin, essentially, in that movie. Okay. He's the main character. So the female is the main character. He's the next main character. He's the guy that she kind of has that relationship with.
Why does he sound familiar? What else is he?
He's in Narcos, Mexico.
Is he the main?
He's the villain.
He's the boss, the crime. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I mean, they have a lot of television series coming. They'll have movies. Like, I'm curious if they're going to release like Doctor Strange 2 to the theaters, or if they're just going to release it on Disney Plus.
It's got to be the theaters, right?
I would think so. But why would I want to go pay $20 to see it in theaters when I can wait for it to just pop into Disney Plus?
Why do they wait to release it on DVD until they gain that interest again?
I agree. But they're not going to release. I mean, they'll release it on DVD, but I just don't know why. The streaming wars that we're getting into, they need to start releasing the stuff straight to their platform. So Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Granted, he was trying to win, Academy Awards, and to do that, to be considered eligible for Academy Awards, you have to go to the movie theaters. So he had
Why?
I have no idea. I think they're trying to get this changed because going forward, they need to try this. So
it has nothing to do with producing a film,
right?
And
that's what people would
I
argue.
understand that argument 100%.
Right, but right now they have to. So Scorsese, who had this deal with Netflix to release this movie on Netflix, had to release it in theaters, like 3 theaters, like for 2 weeks. Had to be in so many theaters for so much time, and then now he's bringing it to Netflix. I'm a huge Scorsese fan. I'm a huge De Niro Pacino fan. I can't wait for this. It's going to be a mob movie, but I didn't want to go pay $20 to go see it in theater because I don't need to. I will wait till it's on Netflix like in 3 days.
Because you have to buy the big bucket of popcorn too. I get it.
That's right.
Expensive.
Yes,
popcorn.
So, what are you excited for, or do you think that you're going to just go back to like Hulu, Amazon, HBO?
No, I mean, I'm going to finish off all the Star Wars and then the Marvels. I'll probably watch some of those with my son. And
do you have a favorite Marvel movie?
Or hero?
I mean,
yes.
Not yet. I guess I haven't seen enough. I guess Iron Man, maybe.
You like him?
I mean, that's the only one Iron Man 1 is the only one I've seen besides Endgame.
So you've seen literally the first The first and the
Wow.
last. You've seen the first and
you
the 20s.
have a lot more to like.
Yeah, you have 20. You have 21 movies or 20 movies in between
and
that
then,
you got to watch.
Of course, clips of in between stuff,
Yeah.
but full through, Iron Man and then Endgame are the only ones I've seen.
Are you going to try to chronologically go through them?
Probably. I mean, I googled because they're all obviously way out of order, but
Right.
why not? They're all there for me to do it. So
Yeah,
I probably
that's
will.
cool.
And then obviously some throwbacks I'm gonna watch with my son, like Smart House, Brain,
Yes.
Johnny Tsunami.
So I'll tell you this: my wife bought these movies, okay, which is really infuriates me more now that they're on Disney Plus. So on our Amazon account, I was going through it was probably 6 months ago, and I had bought the show Yellowstone, and I was looking. I'm like, what movies do we own? And I will say I was fine with us buying the movie Clue because we love the movie Clue. We own it on DVD, but it's just more obviously convenient to have it on,
Well, it has so many endings.
Yeah, yeah. So it just keeps it fresh in your mind. But all of a sudden, I started seeing these Disney films on here, like Brink, or like there's a twin basketball people, or Hillary Duff in the military or something, and Alley Cat Strike, the bowling movie. And I enjoyed the bowling movie when I was a kid growing up, but I'm like, why did we buy these? And she was like, well, Disney's never going to release them.
Not VHS ever again.
I got suckered because they're all available on Disney Plus. But no, don't worry, I own them. So it's great. But yeah. No, I'm excited for that too. I'm going to go through, like I said, I'm going through the Clone Wars television series. I'll go through Rebels next. X-Men. And there's a couple other. I'm not generally a huge cartoon guy, but I'm trying to give them a chance here.
I'll probably finish some of my other shows before I start this binge. Of course, Star Wars. I'll watch a lot of those, but I'm trying to finish up the Mayans.
Okay.
And then.
So FX is owned by Disney as well.
Yeah.
And FX is going to go to Hulu, and so you're probably going to have like the Shield, Mayans,
Sweet.
Justified, Sons of Anarchy.
That's another good deal. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. I mean, I don't care about ESPN. What for? Like what? $10, $12?
$12,
yeah,
right? But they have to have a place to put FX, and that's, I believe, the place that's going to land FX is going to be Hulu.
That'll be
so you'll be able to get all their
they'll be able to get all like the adult-rated shows over there.
Right, that can be more violent that you can't just have on Disney Plus.
That's sweet. I like it. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Does your wife watch anything?
No, but she obviously likes all the classics too. She hasn't watched anything yet on Disney Plus, but we were going through the list the day before, and we were like, oh my god, this is on there, this, and she's like, yeah. She even pre-ordered it, I think 2 days before.
Oh, for like 3 years at like $5 or whatever
Something,
it is.
Yeah.
No, so, I'm excited for it. My wife's excited for it. I don't have children yet, so I've been talking to people and their kids because I'm interested in like if their kids like it or not. And I was talking to a coworker, and her daughter said that she tried to get her to watch. I'm trying to think of what show it was, like Gargoyles or something.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "This is old." You know what I mean? Like she acknowledged it was just old. And
you could tell.
She could tell it's not like currently made. So.
Another one, Darkwing Duck is another one. I'm gonna see if my son will start watching that.
Yeah,
that was a good one. I used to watch that one.
Yeah, goofy movie, all this stuff.
Yep.
Anything else to add, Nate?
Nope, nothing on this end.
Well, I do want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Again, Aliens Cowboys podcast. We're going to try to get one out next week. It's very possible it's not going to be to the week after that because of the holiday. Everybody's got to be with their families. We're going to go bi-weekly for this podcast for the next couple weeks till the Watchmen television series is done for HBO, which I think they only have 4 episodes left. So really it's about 4 more weeks and we'll be back full-time once a week. You can catch us, obviously, on every Monday for the Watchmen for Nixon podcast with Joe and I. That's going well. We surprisingly have a lot of international attention for that one. There's a lot of people overseas downloading that podcast. So I don't know why.
That's cool.
What's fascinating.
You guys do accents on that podcast? I don't know because I don't listen.
Yeah, I know you don't even subscribe. But it's fascinating because this Aliens and Cowboys podcast and the Watchmen for Nixon podcast have almost like it's 2 separate demographics. It's interesting. Huh. So we're very predominantly United States for the Aliens and Cowboys, with some international. The other one is a lot of international, and I would say that there's we're heavily concentrated in certain states in this one, like California, New York, Virginia, Texas.
Very democratic states. Interesting. Not to get political.
Yeah,
but...
you're their favorite, Nate, especially when you give your Elizabeth Banks hot takes.
I bet.
The Watchmen for Nixon, though, is pretty spread out across the states, which is interesting. So
that's cool.
Again, if you haven't checked that out, that show's fascinating. It's really well done. Damon Lindelof show.
HBO, right?
It is HBO. We do have that companion podcast. So go out there, give that a subscription or subscribe. Give us 5-star rating. If you like what you hear on Aliens and Cowboys, 5 stars. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell Nate's mom. You can get us on Twitter at Alien and Cowboy. Email us at aliensandcowboys@gmail.com. And if not, we'll be back with you guys in a week or two. And everybody have a good holiday if we don't talk to you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.